The distress beacon cut through space like a scream in the darkness. Dr. Emily Rivers felt her stomach turn as she read the casualty report scrolling across her medical scanner. 300 wounded miners trapped in a collapsing facility on the edge of known space. The numbers kept climbing with each transmission. The UES Hippocrates moved through the void like a white giant among the stars. Every surface of the massive hospital ship gleamed with the universal medical symbols that protected it under galactic law. Red crosses and healing spirals covered the hull in dozens of alien languages. This ship belonged to no military force and served no government. It answered only to suffering. Emily walked through the preparation ward where her medical teams worked with quiet efficiency. Nurses checked equipment while doctors reviewed trauma procedures. Everyone knew what was coming. The mining accident had crushed bones and burned flesh. Radiation poisoning would claim lives if they arrived too late. "Dr. Rivers, to the bridge, please," came the announcement over the ship's communication system. She found Captain David Walsh staring at the tactical display. The mining colony hung before them like a broken tooth against the black. Debris floated in clouds around the damaged structures. Emergency lights blinked frantically from what remained of the facility. "How bad is it down there?" Emily asked. David pointed to the readings. "The main support beam collapsed 3 hours ago. Reactor containment is failing. Most of the miners are trapped in the lower levels with no way out. Radiation levels? High but manageable with proper protection. The real problem is time. We have maybe 6 hours before the whole place comes apart." Emily nodded and activated her medical scanner. The device painted a grim picture of the situation below. Heat signatures showed clusters of survivors scattered throughout the facility. Many weren't moving. Those who were showed the telltale signs of severe injury. "I need every medical bay prepared for trauma surgery," she said into her communicator. "All departments report to emergency stations. This is going to be the biggest rescue operation we've attempted." The Hippocrates carried the most advanced medical technology humanity had ever created. Regeneration chambers could rebuild damaged organs. Neural surgery robots could repair brain trauma with precision no biological hand could match. Artificial blood kept patients alive while their bodies healed. The ship was a miracle of medical science wrapped in armor, designed to protect rather than destroy. Tom Bradley's voice crackled through the emergency channel from the mining facility. "Medical ship, this is Foreman Bradley. We've got people dying. Down here, the blast doors are sealed and we can't get them open. Radiation is cooking everyone in Sector 7. This is Dr. Rivers aboard the Hippocrates. We're coming to get you. Can you give me a count of survivors?" Last count was 293 souls, but that was an hour ago. We've lost contact with several groups. Emily felt the familiar weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. Each of those numbers represented a life depending on her skills and her team. The Hippocrates existed for moments like this. Every system on the ship was designed around one simple principle: preserve life at any cost. The medical bays hummed with activity as teams prepared for the incoming casualties. Surgery suites gleamed under bright lights. Medical robots performed final system checks. Regeneration chambers filled with healing fluid that could rebuild human tissue from the molecular level up. Every bed was prepared with life support systems that could keep a patient alive even if their heart stopped beating. "Transport teams to the shuttle bay," Emily announced. "Full protective gear. We're going into a radiation zone." Lieutenant Alex Morgan appeared at her side. The security officer looked uncomfortable in his light armor. The Hippocrates carried only a small security detail because medical ships were protected under galactic law. No civilized species would attack a vessel dedicated to healing. "Doctor, we're getting some strange readings on long-range sensors. Might be nothing but the computer is flagging possible incoming ships," Emily frowned. "Pirates? Unknown. Could be coincidence. This is a remote system. Keep monitoring. Right now, those miners are our priority." The first transport shuttle launched toward the damaged facility. Emily watched through the medical bay windows as the small craft disappeared into the debris field. Each shuttle could carry 20 patients in medical stasis. It would take multiple trips to evacuate everyone. Her communicator buzzed with an update from the shuttle pilot. "Doctor, we're inside the facility. The damage is worse than the reports indicated. Whole sections have collapsed. We're going to need cutting equipment to reach some of the survivors. Do whatever it takes. We don't leave anyone behind." That was the human way. Other species might calculate the cost of rescue against the value of the lives at stake. Humans simply rescued everyone they could reach. It was not a matter of logic or efficiency. It was a matter of principle. The first group of casualties arrived 20 minutes later. Emily rushed to meet the incoming stretchers. Burns covered most of the patients. Radiation sickness had already begun affecting their blood. Several showed signs of crush injuries from falling debris. "Get them to Trauma Bay 3, she shouted over the noise of the medical bay. "I need full workups on all of them. Check for internal bleeding and organ damage." The medical teams moved like a choreographed dance. Each person knew their role. Nurses prepared patients for surgery while doctors assessed injuries. Medical robots rolled between beds carrying equipment and supplies. The ship's artificial intelligence monitored every patient's vital signs and alerted the medical staff to any changes. Emily worked on a young miner whose leg had been crushed beneath a support beam. The bone was shattered in 12 places, but the medical scanner showed the tissue was still viable. Regeneration therapy could rebuild the entire limb if they acted quickly enough. "Start the bone reconstruction protocol," she told the surgical robot. Full skeletal rebuild with enhanced calcium matrix. More shuttles arrived with additional casualties. The medical bays filled with the sounds of working medical equipment and quiet conversations between doctors and patients. Despite the severity of the situation, there was hope in the air. These people would live. The Hippocrates would make sure of that. Tom Bradley arrived on the 4th shuttle. The mining foreman had stayed behind to coordinate the evacuation until the last possible moment. His left arm hung at an unnatural angle and radiation burns covered half his face. But his eyes burned with determination. "That's everyone we could reach," he reported to Emily. 17 people are still trapped in Sector 12. The passage collapsed completely. We'll get them out. "Doctor, with respect, it can't be done. The whole area is flooded with radiation. Anyone who goes in, there will be dead in minutes." Emily looked at the tactical display showing the trapped miners. The readings confirmed Bradley's assessment. The radiation levels in that section would kill any rescue team before they could reach the survivors. Then we'll have to be creative. Space rippled like water as the massive HFY warships dropped out of hyperspace. Their dark hulls bristled with weapons designed to crack planets and turn fleets into cosmic dust. 12 vessels arranged themselves in a perfect attack formation. Around the UES Hippocrates, Emily Rivers felt the ship shudder as the alien vessels powered up their targeting systems. Through the medical bay windows, she could see the sleek, predatory shapes of the Cathari fleet. Each warship was 3 times the size of the Hippocrates and built for one purpose: destruction. "All medical staff remain at your stations," came Captain Walsh's voice over the communication system. "This appears to be a routine inspection. Continue treating patients." But Emily knew this was not routine. The Cathari had been fighting the Altonian Republic for 30 years. Their ships did not appear in neutral space to chat about the weather. She glanced at the patients filling her medical bays. 300 wounded miners who had trusted humanity to save them. Now they might all die together. Fleet Commander Gorath's image appeared on every screen throughout the Hippocrates. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall with gray-scaled skin and eyes like burning coals. Ceremonial scars covered his face in patterns that spoke of countless battles. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to absolute obedience. "Human vessel, you are in violation of Cathari space. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Captain Walsh's reply came immediately. "This is a medical vessel operating under galactic law. We are conducting humanitarian rescue operations and request safe passage. Goroth's laugh was like grinding metal. You humans and your deceptions. We know what you really are. Your ship carries weapons disguised as medical equipment. Your crew consists of soldiers pretending to be healers. Emily stared at the screen in disbelief. The Hippocrates was clearly marked as a medical vessel. Every surface carried the universal symbols of healing. The ship's design was obviously non-military. It possessed no weapons beyond basic defensive shields. Commander, you are mistaken, Walsh replied. This ship belongs to the United Earth Medical Corps. We carry only medical supplies and humanitarian aid. You are welcome to verify this through inspection. Verification? Goroth snarled. Humans are masters of deception. You would sacrifice your own people to maintain your lies. We have learned this through painful experience. Tom Bradley appeared at Emily's side. The mining foreman's arm was now in a healing cast, but his expression showed alarm. Doctor, what's happening? Are we under attack? I don't know. The Cathari seem to think we're a military vessel. That's insane. This is obviously a hospital ship. Even I can see that, and I work in a mine. On the screen, Goroth continued his accusations. Your medical supplies are biological weapons. Your patients are enemy agents. Your doctors are intelligence operatives gathering information about our military capabilities. Emily felt anger rising in her chest. She had dedicated her life to saving people regardless of their species or politics. The suggestion that her medical work was some kind of military operation insulted everything she believed in. Commander, Walsh said with obvious strain in his voice, I invite you to board our ship and inspect our medical facilities. You will see that we treat patients without regard to their political affiliations. We have saved Cathari lives in the past. More lies, Goroth spat. Your medical corps is the most dangerous branch of human military forces. You pretend to heal while you poison minds with your propaganda. You make our people dependent on your technology and then use that dependence against us. The Cathari commander gestured to someone off-screen. Warning alarms began blaring throughout the Hippocrates as targeting sensors locked onto the ship's vital systems. You will surrender immediately, or we will disable your vessel and take you by force. Your deceptions end today. Emily activated her medical scanner and aimed it at the Cathari ships. The readings showed something disturbing. Life signs aboard. The alien vessels indicated widespread medical problems. Malnutrition was common among the crews. Several ships showed evidence of disease outbreaks. The Cathari fleet was sick and desperate. Captain Walsh, she said into her communicator, the Cathari crews are suffering from medical conditions. Malnutrition, disease, possibly radiation poisoning. They might not be thinking clearly. Are you suggesting they need medical attention? I'm suggesting they might be afraid of us for reasons that have nothing to do with military concerns. If their people are dying and they've seen our medical capabilities, Captain Walsh's voice carried new understanding. They might think we're withholding medical aid for political reasons, or they might think our offer to help comes with strings attached. On the screen, Goroth raised his weapon in a gesture of final warning. Human vessel, you have 30 seconds to surrender. After that, we will take your ship by force and execute your crew for war crimes. Emily looked around her medical bay. Wounded miners lay in beds designed to heal any injury. Medical robots moved between patients with supplies that could cure diseases the Cathari had never seen treated. Regeneration chambers hummed with the power to rebuild entire organs. The ship represented the best of human medical science offered freely to anyone who needed it. Commander Goroth, she said, activating the communication system, this is Dr. Emily Rivers, Chief Medical Officer of the Hippocrates. I can see that your crews are suffering from medical conditions. We can help them. Goroth's eyes blazed with fury. There it is, the human trap. Offer healing to make us dependent on your technology. Then use that dependence to control us. There are no conditions. We help because people are suffering. Lies within lies within lies. Humans are incapable Of action without hidden motives? The first energy blast struck the Hippocrates shields with the force of a small star. The ship's defensive systems flared as they absorbed the impact. Emergency lighting activated throughout the medical bays as the ship's power grid compensated for the attack. "Medical teams secure all patients," Emily shouted over the alarm. "Prepare for combat conditions." But even as she gave the order, Emily wondered how they could fight back. The Hippocrates carried no weapons. Its defenses were designed to protect patients during emergency evacuations, not to engage in space combat. They were healers confronting destroyers. Another blast rocked the ship. This one targeted the engine compartment. Emily felt the deck shift beneath her feet as the Hippocrates lost power to its main drives. They were now dead in space, surrounded by hostile forces that believed humanity's greatest strength was actually its greatest deception. Tom Bradley grabbed onto a medical bed as the ship shuddered under another impact. "Doctor, what do we do? How do we fight warships with medical equipment?" Emily looked at the wounded miners filling her medical bay. These people had trusted humanity to save them. Now they might die because aliens refused to believe that humans could offer help without hidden motives. "We do what humans do," she said grimly. "We protect the people who depend on us." The mining equipment made excellent weapons when 300 angry colonists decided to defend their rescuers. Tom Bradley watched a group of injured miners weld blast doors shut with tools they had brought aboard the Hippocrates. The Cathari boarding parties found themselves trapped in corridors that had become metal tombs. "They think we're military," Bradley growled as he hefted a plasma cutter in his good hand. "Let's show them what angry civilians can do." Rita Hawkins moved through the ship's engineering sections with her arm in a healing sling. The chief engineer from the mining facility knew every type of power system ever built. She began rerouting energy through the Hippocrates medical equipment in ways that would have horrified the ship's designers. "Medical scanners can be overloaded to produce electromagnetic pulses," she explained to a group of miners. "Surgical lasers can cut through armor if you bypass the safety protocols. Even the regeneration chambers can be weaponized if you know what you're doing." Dr. Rivers found herself treating both human and alien wounded as the battle raged through the ships corridors. Cathari soldiers lay on medical beds next to the miners they had come to capture. The alien warriors stared in confusion as human doctors worked frantically to save their lives. "Why do you heal us?" asked a young Cathari trooper whose leg had been nearly severed by mining equipment. "We came here to kill you." Emily continued working on the soldiers' wounds while explosions echoed through the ship. "Because you're hurt and I'm a doctor? That's how it works." The alien warrior tried to process this information. In Cathari culture, enemies were destroyed completely. The concept of healing someone who had tried to kill you made no sense within their understanding of warfare. Lieutenant Alex Morgan coordinated the ship's minimal security forces while trying to protect both patients and medical staff. His 12 security officers faced over 200 Cathari boarders, but the hospital ship provided unexpected advantages for defensive fighting. "They're using military tactics against a medical facility," he reported to Captain Walsh. "Their energy weapons can't penetrate the radiation shielding around the medical bays. They expected to fight soldiers, not doctors and injured miners." The Cathari had prepared for a standard boarding action against what they believed was a disguised warship. Instead, they encountered wounded civilians who fought with improvised weapons and an intimate knowledge of industrial equipment. Mining tools designed to cut through solid rock made short work of alien armor. In the main medical bay, Bradley organized the defense with the efficiency of someone who had spent years managing dangerous mining operations. Group 1 secures the surgical suites. Group 2 guards the regeneration chambers. Group 3 protects the wounded who can't move. The miners followed orders with discipline born from years of working in life-threatening conditions. They had survived cave-ins, equipment failures, and reactor accidents. Alien invaders were just another workplace hazard to overcome. Engineer Hawkins triggered her first electromagnetic pulse just as a squad of Cathari soldiers attempted to breach the primary medical ward. The overloaded medical scanner sent out a wave of energy that disabled the aliens' weapons and armor systems. They found themselves facing angry miners with plasma cutters while wearing nothing but dead electronics. Their technology is more advanced than ours, Hawkins explained to a group of defenders, but it's also more vulnerable to electromagnetic interference. These medical scanners put out enough energy to cook their circuits. Dr. Rivers established a neutral medical zone in the center of the ship where wounded from both sides could receive treatment. The sight of human doctors working to save Cathari lives began to spread confusion through the alien boarding parties. Several soldiers refused orders to attack the medical areas. "This makes no sense," one Cathari officer complained to his commander over the communication system. "They are treating our wounded better than their own. What kind of military deception is this?" Captain Walsh monitored the situation from the bridge while trying to keep the ship's life support systems operational. Cathari energy weapons had damaged several critical systems, but the Hippocrates was built to survive cosmic radiation and meteor impacts. It could absorb punishment that would destroy a normal vessel. "Dr. Rivers," he called over the communication system, "we're getting reports that some of the Cathari soldiers are refusing to fight in the medical areas. Is that accurate?" "Confirmed. Several alien soldiers have laid down their weapons rather than attack wounded patients. I think they're starting to understand what we really are." Tom Bradley's mining team had turned the ship's cargo bays into a maze of welded barriers and improvised traps. Cathari soldiers found themselves lost in corridors that changed configuration as miners rerouted the ship's modular walls. Industrial equipment created obstacles that alien military training had never prepared them to overcome. "They fight like miners," Bradley observed with grim satisfaction. "Lots of expensive equipment and standard procedures. We fight like miners, we use whatever works, and we never give up." Rita Hawkins achieved her masterpiece when she connected the ship's medical waste disposal system to the ventilation network. Alien soldiers throughout the Hippocrates found themselves breathing air contaminated with medical compounds, designed to break down biological matter. The chemicals were harmless to humans but caused severe nausea in Cathari physiology. "Non-lethal but very effective," she reported to Bradley. "They'll be too sick to fight, but they won't die from it." Dr. Rivers worked on a Cathari soldier who had been caught in one of the electromagnetic pulses. The alien cybernetic implants had been damaged, causing severe pain and disorientation. As she repaired the electronics, the soldier grabbed her wrist. "Why?" he whispered in broken human language. "Why heal enemy?" "Because pain is the enemy," Emily replied, "not you." The concept struck the alien soldier like a physical blow. In 30 years of warfare against the Altonian Republic, no enemy had ever treated Cathari wounded with anything but contempt. The idea that humans might actually be different challenged everything he believed about the nature of conflict. Lieutenant Morgan received reports from throughout the ship as the battle began to shift in humanity's favor. "Captain, the Cathari boarding parties are losing cohesion. Many soldiers are surrendering rather than continue fighting in the medical areas. Some are actively helping our medical teams." "Are they laying a trap?" "I don't think so. They seem genuinely confused by our response to their attack. Several have asked why we're treating their wounded." Captain Walsh studied the tactical display showing Cathari ships surrounding the Hippocrates. The alien fleet maintained their attack formation, but energy fire had decreased significantly. Commander Gorath was receiving reports from his boarding parties that probably made no sense within his understanding of human behavior. "Open a channel to the Cathari flagship," Walsh ordered. Gorath's image appeared on the screen, but his expression had changed from confident aggression to confused uncertainty. Behind him, other Cathari officers argued in their harsh native language. "Commander," Walsh said, "your soldiers are receiving medical treatment aboard our ship. Some of them are helping our doctors treat other wounded Cathari. Does this match your expectations of human military deception?" Gorath stared at the human captain with eyes that held the first seeds of doubt. "What kind of trick is this? What do you gain by healing our warriors?" We gain the knowledge that we've reduced suffering in the universe. That's what medical professionals do. The Cathari commander's certainty began to crack like ice under pressure. For the first time in his military career, he encountered an enemy that refused to act like an enemy. Young Cathari medic Thizes had never seen anything like the human medical bay. His own species treated wounded soldiers with basic field medicine and left the severely injured to die. But these humans used technology that seemed almost magical to repair damage that should have been fatal. He watched Dr. Rivers rebuild a miner's crushed spine using microscopic robots and cellular regeneration. The human would walk again within days. Such healing was impossible according to everything Thizes had learned about medicine. Yet here it was happening before his eyes. "Doctor," he said quietly in his heavily accented English, "my commander says, you are enemy soldiers pretending to be healers, but I see only healing here." Emily looked up from her work to study the young alien. Thizes was barely more than a child by Cathari standards, his scales still showing the bright colors of youth. His medical kit was primitive compared to human technology, but she could see intelligence and compassion in his large eyes. "Would you like to help?" she asked. The question struck Thizes like a physical blow. Help the enemy? Such action would be considered treason under Cathari military law. But the wounded Cathari soldiers around him were receiving better medical care than they had ever seen from their own people. Tom Bradley coordinated the defense from the ship's central hub while his arm finished healing in its medical cast. The miners had turned the Hippocrates into a fortress using nothing but industrial equipment and stubborn determination. Cathari soldiers found themselves outmaneuvered by people who understood complex three-dimensional spaces from years of working in underground tunnels. "Rita, can you get me a video link to the Cathari ships?" he asked the engineer, already working on it. "Their communication systems are actually easier to hack than ours. Military encryption, but civilian-grade hardware," Rita Hawkins had discovered. The Cathari technology prioritized weapons and defenses over basic infrastructure. Their ships carried devastating energy cannons but used outdated communication systems that she could manipulate from the Hippocrates medical computers. "Broadcasting now. Every ship in their fleet can see inside our medical base." The video feed showed the reality of the human medical operation to the entire Cathari fleet. Alien soldiers watched human doctors working frantically to save both human and Cathari lives. They saw wounded miners using their own bodies to shield injured aliens from falling debris. They witnessed medics like Thizes helping human doctors despite direct orders from their commanders. Captain Walsh received reports from his security teams as the situation throughout the ship continued to evolve in unexpected directions. "Lieutenant Morgan, what's the current status of the Cathari boarding parties?" "Sir, it's complicated. About half of them have laid down weapons and are helping with medical operations. A quarter are still fighting but with significantly reduced effectiveness. The remainder have barricaded themselves in cargo holds and are demanding evacuation back to their ships." "And our casualties?" "Surprisingly light. The miners' defensive tactics have been extremely effective. Most of our wounded are from the initial attack, not the boarding action." Dr. Rivers found herself working alongside Thizes as they treated a human miner who had been caught in a plasma blast. The young Cathari medic's hands shook as he applied human medical technology that could actually save the patient's life. "In my people's military," he said quietly, "we would leave this one to die. Resources are too precious to waste on lost causes." "He's not lost," Emily replied. "Watch." She activated the regeneration chamber that would rebuild the miner's damaged organs. Thizes stared in amazement as human technology began repairing injuries that would have meant certain death in Cathari medicine. "This is why Commander Gorath fears you," Thizes whispered. "Not because you are great warriors, but because you make life when others can only make death." Rita Hawkins intercepted communications between Cathari ships as confusion spread through their fleet. Soldiers were reporting impossible things to their commanders. Humans treating enemy wounded. Miners sacrificing themselves to protect alien soldiers. Medical technology that could bring the dead back to life. Tom, you need to hear this, she said, patching the alien communications through to Bradley's position. The voices of Cathari soldiers filled the central hub as they tried to explain what they were witnessing to their officers. Many spoke of humans who died protecting aliens who had come to kill them. Others described medical technology that could rebuild entire organs. All expressed confusion about human motives. Why would they heal us and then refuse to use our gratitude for military advantage? One soldier asked his commander. Perhaps their deception runs deeper than we imagined, came the reply. Or perhaps they are not deceiving us at all? Tom Bradley activated the communication system to address the Cathari fleet directly. His gruff miner's voice carried the authority of someone who had spent decades keeping people alive in dangerous conditions. Attention Cathari vessels. This is Tom Bradley, foreman of the mining operation you rescued us from. I want you to understand something about these humans. They came into a radiation zone that should have killed them to save people they had never met. They're treating your soldiers better than you treat them. If you think that's some kind of military strategy, you don't understand humans at all. The communication channel fell silent as Bradley's words reached every ship in the alien fleet. On the Hippocrates, wounded miners and Cathari soldiers listened to the simple truth delivered in the straightforward language of someone who had never learned to lie effectively. Commander Gorath's image appeared on the communication screen, but his confident aggression had been replaced by obvious confusion. Reports from his boarding parties painted a picture that contradicted everything he believed about human nature. Mining foreman Bradley, Gorath said slowly, my soldiers report that humans died to protect Cathari warriors who were attacking them. This cannot be accurate. It's accurate. That's what humans do. They protect people who need protecting, even if those people are trying to kill them. This makes no strategic sense. It's not strategy, it's just who they are. Dr. Rivers received an emergency alert from one of the medical bays as the ship's hull suffered another breach from Cathari weapons fire. Atmosphere began venting into space through a crack in the medical ward's outer wall. Several patients, both human and alien, were in immediate danger. Without hesitation, 3 wounded miners threw themselves against the breach, using their bodies to seal the gap while emergency repair systems activated. One of them, a woman named Lisa Park, was sucked partway through the crack before her fellow miners could pull her back. She died saving a Cathari soldier who had been shooting at human doctors. Minutes earlier, Thizes witnessed Lisa Park's sacrifice and broadcast the image across the Cathari fleet using his military communicator. The young medic's voice shook with emotion as he described what he had seen. She knew she would die. The human female knew that sealing the breach would kill her. But she did it anyway to save a Cathari warrior who was her enemy. I do not understand this behavior. Nothing in our military training prepared us for humans who would rather die saving us than live by abandoning us. The video transmission reached every ship in the Cathari fleet. Alien soldiers watched a human woman sacrifice her life to save someone who had come to destroy her ship. The image challenged everything they believed about the nature of warfare and the behavior of enemies. Commander Gorath stared at the screen as his certainty finally crumbled completely. The rebellion began with a single Cathari soldier named Vorth refusing to fire on a human medical station. He watched Dr. Rivers working desperately to save a young alien warrior who had been critically injured in the fighting. The human doctors' hands moved with precision born from years of practice, using technology that could rebuild damaged organs as if they were broken machines. I will not fire on healers, Vorth announced to his squad leader. These humans are not military deceivers. They are exactly what they claim to be. His refusal spread like fire through dry grass. Other Cathari soldiers began laying down their weapons as they witnessed acts of humanity that challenged everything their commanders had told them about human nature. The video broadcasts from Thizes showed the truth to the entire fleet. Humans would rather die saving their enemies than live by abandoning their principles. Commander Gorath watched his military discipline collapse as reports flooded in from throughout his fleet. Soldiers were refusing orders. Medical teams were asking for permission to help human doctors. Ship commanders were questioning the wisdom of attacking a genuine medical vessel. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, "3 ships have stopped firing completely. Their crews are demanding to know why we are attacking healers. 2 more ships report that their boarding parties have joined the human medical teams." Goroth's worldview cracked like ice under spring sun. 30 years of warfare had taught him that enemies were to be destroyed without mercy. But these humans displayed behavior that contradicted everything he understood about the nature of conflict on the Hippocrates. Tom Bradley coordinated the final defensive positions while his miners protected the most critical medical areas. The wounded colonists had transformed the hospital ship into an impregnable fortress, using nothing but industrial equipment and sheer determination. "Rita, how are our power systems holding up?" he asked the engineer. "Medical equipment is designed to function under extreme conditions," she replied. "We can keep the life support and healing systems running even if they blow holes in half the ship. These people really know how to build hospitals." Dr. Rivers worked frantically in the main surgical suite as casualties from both sides continued to arrive. Human miners and Cathari soldiers lay side by side on medical tables while robotic surgeons repaired damage with inhuman precision. The sight of former enemies sharing the same medical bay began to change how everyone thought about the nature of the conflict. Maria Santos, a human nurse from the original medical team, moved between patients with quiet efficiency. She checked on wounded Cathari soldiers with the same care she showed injured miners. When a piece of debris from a weapons blast threatened to crush a young alien warrior, Maria threw herself forward to shield him with her own body. The impact killed her instantly, but her sacrifice saved the life of someone who had been trying to destroy her ship just hours earlier. Thizes knelt beside Maria's body with tears streaming down his scaled face. He broadcast her final moment across the Cathari fleet, his voice breaking with emotion. She knew she would die. The human female saw the danger and chose to die protecting one of us. I watched the life leave her eyes as she smiled at the soldier she had saved. What manner of beings are these humans that they find joy in dying for? Their enemies? The image of Maria's sacrifice reached Commander Goroth on his flagship. He stared at the screen as the foundation of his military career crumbled beneath him. Everything he had been taught about human deception and military cunning was proven false by the simple act of a nurse, who died smiling because she had saved a life. Captain Walsh received a communication request from the Cathari flagship as the attack finally began to slow. Weapons fire decreased to sporadic bursts as alien ship commanders struggled to maintain discipline among crews who no longer understood why they were fighting. "Commander Goroth," Walsh said as the alien leader's image appeared on the screen, "I believe your soldiers have learned something about human nature that your intelligence reports failed to mention." Goroth's reply came slowly, as if each word caused him physical pain. "Captain Walsh, I have spent 30 years fighting wars based on the principle that enemies must be destroyed completely. Your people have shown me that this principle may be flawed. We're not your enemies, Commander. We never were." "And then what are you?" "We're doctors and nurses and engineers and miners. We're people who believe that life is worth saving, regardless of who needs the saving." The Cathari commander studied the human captain with eyes that held the weight of 3 decades of warfare. "My soldiers report that humans died to protect Cathari warriors who came here to kill them. They say your medical teams treated our wounded better than we treat our own? They claim your people would rather heal than harm, even when facing destruction." That's correct. This behavior makes no sense from a military perspective. What do you gain from such actions?" Captain Walsh looked around his damaged bridge where human and Cathari crew members now worked together to repair systems damaged in the fighting. "We gain the knowledge that we acted according to our principles. We gain the satisfaction of reducing suffering in the universe. We gain the hope that maybe, someday, others will choose healing over harm." Tom Bradley's voice cut through the communication channel as the mining foreman addressed both commanders. "With respect to both of you, this isn't complicated. The humans saved us when we were dying. We protected them when aliens attacked. The aliens learned that humans actually mean what they say about helping people. Now everybody knows the truth about everybody else. Dr. Rivers appeared beside Captain Walsh, her medical uniform stained with blood from both species. Commander Gorath, your ships carry crews suffering from malnutrition and disease. Your soldiers have cybernetic implants that are failing due to poor maintenance. We can help with all of these problems if you'll let us. And what would you require in return? Nothing. That's what you don't understand about us. We help because people need help. Gorath's second-in-command whispered urgently in his ear. The commander's expression shifted from confusion to something approaching wonder. My medical officer informs me that several of our critically injured soldiers have been completely healed using human technology. Injuries that should have been fatal have been repaired. This is impossible. It's medicine, Emily said simply. Advanced medicine applied without conditions or requirements. Rita Hawkins monitored communications across the Cathari fleet as the alien commanders struggled to understand what they had witnessed. Ship after ship reported the same impossible observations, humans choosing to heal rather than harm, even when facing destruction. Tom, she said quietly, you need to hear this. The Cathari fleet commander is receiving reports from all his ships. Half his crews are refusing to continue the attack. They're calling it a war crime, the fight against genuine healers. Young Medic Dizes appeared on the communication screen beside Dr. Rivers. His scaled face showed a mixture of shame and wonder as he addressed his commander. Sir, I have worked alongside the human doctors. I have seen their technology and their methods. They are not soldiers pretending to be healers. They are healers who continue healing even when soldiers attack them. Dizes, you are speaking treason. I am speaking truth. The humans have medical technology that could save thousands of Cathari lives. They offer this technology freely, without conditions, even to warriors who came here to destroy them. If using such gifts is treason, then I am proud to be a traitor. Commander Gorath fell silent as the implications of his mistake became clear. He had attacked a genuine medical vessel based on paranoid assumptions about human deception. His soldiers had witnessed acts of selfless healing that challenged the fundamental principles of Cathari military doctrine. Captain Walsh, he said. Finally, I believe I have made a grave error in judgment. Commander, people make mistakes. What matters is how we respond to those mistakes. How do you suggest we respond? By learning from what happened here today. By choosing to build understanding instead of suspicion. Tom Bradley activated his personal communicator to address both fleets. Listen up, everybody. We've got 300 miners who are alive because humans risked everything to save us. We've got Cathari soldiers who are alive because humans healed them instead of leaving them to die. We've got humans who died protecting aliens who came here as enemies. I think that tells us everything we need to know about who these people really are. Dr. Rivers received a priority alert from her. Medical teams. The ship's main medical bay was experiencing a critical emergency as more wounded arrived from both sides of the conflict. But instead of chaos, she found something remarkable: human and Cathari medical personnel working together to save lives. Doctor, reported Nurse Johnson, the alien medics have been teaching us about Cathari physiology while we show them our regeneration technology. We're actually developing better treatment protocols by combining our knowledge. Emily watched. Thais is working alongside human doctors to treat a severely injured miner. The young alien's hands moved with growing confidence as he learned to use advanced medical equipment. His natural healing instincts, combined with human technology, created a partnership that saved lives more effectively than either species could manage alone. This is what cooperation looks like, she said to Captain Walsh over the communication system. Not military alliances or trade agreements, but people working together to reduce suffering. Commander Gorath made his decision with the weight of 30 years of military experience behind him. All Cathari vessels cease fire immediately. Medical teams prepare to assist the human hospital ship. We will learn from these humans, not destroy them." The silence that followed was profound. For the first time in hours, no weapons fired, no alarms blared. The only sounds came from medical equipment working to heal the wounded and the quiet. Conversations of former enemies learning to work together. Captain Walsh addressed both fleets as the immediate crisis finally ended. The UE's Hippocrates will complete its medical mission here and then offer medical assistance to any Hithari vessels that require it. No conditions, no requirements. No political strings attached. That's how human medicine works. Tom Bradley looked around the medical bay, where miners and aliens worked side by side to repair damage and care for the wounded. "You know what this means?" he said to Retta Hawkins. "Word of this is going to spread through the galaxy. Every species is going to know what happened when aliens attacked a human medical ship. And what's going to happen then? Then everyone will know the truth about humanity. We're not the greatest warriors in the galaxy. We're not the smartest or the strongest or the most advanced. But we're the ones who will die protecting our enemies rather than abandon our principles." The story of the Hippocrates spread across known space faster than light itself could travel. It became known as the moment when humanity revealed its true nature to the galaxy, not as conquerors or destroyers, but as healers who would offer aid to anyone who needed it, even those who came as enemies. And in the end, that truth proved more powerful than any weapon humanity had ever built.